Hey, welcome in Huntsville. Another wonderful good morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us.
What do you love about Huntsville? What makes this a great place to be?
Everyone here is very genuine and very kind and friendly. You never hesitate to speak up and say hello or good morning or just acknowledge the person walking by.
The thing that I love most about Huntsville, I love the peace that Huntsville brings. I love the peace that it gives me.
I feel accepted and part of the town and like I belong here.
Huntsville is where my lovely wife lived when I met her, so I moved here. So I'm pretty thankful for her.
All right.
We're bucking for you in Huntsville, Texas.
Hello, I'm Billy Coppin with Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home.
Hey, it's Kay Boning with Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools.
Good morning, Huntsville.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm Karen.
I'm Toy. And I'm Denise.
And from all of us at Walker County Federal Credit Union, good morning, Huntsville.
Hustle Town.
All right, love it.
Yeah, man, long time coming. Haven't worn my Astros gear in a long time,
Hey,
Jason.
you're seeing it going to a game today, right?
Yes, sir. I'm wearing swim trunks. Can you tell? Can
No.
you tell these are trunks?
No, so you just gave yourself away.
Yeah. I asked Bridget, I said, can I wear these? She goes, as long as you don't wear the swim shirt with it. I don't have a whole lot of short. I'm not a short guy too
Yeah.
much. You're a short guy.
Yeah, I like wearing shorts.
I mean, you're a tall, short guy. How tall are you, Jason?
6'2".
6'2". We're the same, man.
Yeah.
But see, you got a better build than me. I'm 6'2", 242. I need to lose about 42. That's my goal.
Nah, man, you don't need to lose 42 pounds. You'd be a rail.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, I don't weigh that much less than that. I weigh like 6'2". I mean, 6'2". I'm like 235, something like that.
Oh, okay. But see, you got muscle, man. I've got like hamburger. That's what I call it.
I need to lose weight too.
I was talking to a doctor back in the day. You know, I think I told you the story. I got pancreatitis back in the day, and normally,
best way to lose weight, huh?
Oh man, you go on a clear liquid protein diet. I mean, clear liquids, and for 2.5 months. And I remember,
goodness,
Coach Hooten, the former Sam Houston basketball coach, was worried about me because he saw me and he's like, "Hey man, are you sick or something?" And I said, "No, sir. Why?" And he goes, I'm not trying to startle you, but you look like you've lost a ton of weight. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, man, I've been dropping like 10 pounds a week. That's how quick it started coming off. And it even kind of worried me. I started noticing my fingertips look like grapes. Or no, not grapes, raisins. Mm-hmm. And I was worried about that. And it was because I was losing so much, water weight so fast, but then just other weights. But normally pancreatitis is from excessive alcohol, those kind of things, but I didn't drink anything. It was just something in my body that had told my pancreas enough is enough. It's probably the McDonald's every day, you know? And I was worried sick about it. This was before I was, involved here at the church, and we know many people who have had pancreatic cancer, and that's a scary thing. And my great uncle passed away from that.
Wow.
And we know Dr. Jones, who the Lord healed him of that, and his story is just unbelievable what the Lord has done in his life. But I was worried about that. and because I was having a pain kind of in the center of my chest, and it was a weird pain. It felt like it was behind stuff. I don't know how to describe it. And so I went and they did the whole, scan and all that. And no, you're fine. They said, but you've got a little pancreatitis, and normally you're in the hospital from that. Well, they didn't put me in the hospital because my lipase levels weren't like critically high. They were high, but not critically high.
Right.
And so he said, immediately you need to go on a clear liquid protein diet. I said, they make protein clear? He goes, yeah, it's disgusting, but have at it. And my, what is the other ones? There's other enzymes like when you get a full blood count that get thrown off, and triglycerides. Oh yeah. Because I was always so that was always off the scale, and that was from eating bad. And I'm gonna tell you, after 2.5 months, I went back and got blood work. I was down to 202, which is the lowest I'd been since high school probably. But I felt great.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to get back to that point.
Well, what you said really happened to me in a way as far as losing weight, because several years ago I felt like, man, I need to lose some weight. I was getting close to 250, and had gained weight slowly over time. Clothes didn't fit right, and so I decided, no, I'm gonna start trying to lose weight. So I went on I started working out first of all. And I did a lot of cardio and stuff like that. And I bought one of those elliptical machines, and I was going on it, and I didn't lose a lot of weight, and I just couldn't lose weight, and so I quit working out as much, and I started really watching what I was eating. And I was eating. I went on that keto diet, really limited the amount of carbs and sugars that I drank or ate and stuff like that. And boy, I lost weight quick. And it just shows you how much, even if you're working out, a lot of times working out just causes you to eat more. And if you're eating bad, unhealthy, then you're going to continue just eat more unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? And so when I got on that, and I realized how much what you eat affects your weight. If in my body, I learned that carbs are really my enemy. If I could limit the carbs and sugars that I eat, I can really control my weight.
Well, that's what happened from the pancreatitis. My body went into ketosis, and that's why it was just going.
It
like falls off of you.
Right.
And he even told me, he goes, yeah, you've got a bunch of ketones or something. So that sounds like a band. Ketones. Catch a tone. Ketone. There was some group that used to say that. Catch a tone. You remember that? I don't know who it is or what it is. But anyways, it was peeling off of me, and I took a picture, and it popped up in my memories the other day. I said, man, I want to get back to that.
Yeah, you don't need to go back to pancreatitis to get the weight off, though.
No, not at all. So that is kind of the key, and there's other things, chemicals in your body and stuff sometimes that do trigger stuff as well, but a lot of it, and this is a life lesson. This is the inspiration this morning. It's the life lesson, too. A lot of what we deal with truly comes down, and it's hard. I'm not doubting anybody, because I know that things are hard, but it truly comes down to self-discipline.
Yeah, it does.
Even being a Christian, and I say the word self, but as Christian, it doesn't rely on self, it relies on Christ.
Yeah.
But we do have to have the self, and we need to pray for the self-discipline, to get in the Word every morning, to pray every morning. We need to pray. Say, Lord, help me every day to wake up in prayer, to read the Word, to get immersed in you. And it comes down to self-discipline, working out, eating healthy, all that.
Eating, mind, body, spirit. What you said, I was reading before you came in, and you were running a little bit behind today, and we're on our summer schedule.
Yeah.
But I was just reading what I was looking at the scripture, because we're on this Hebrew series, and what you just said really reminded me of this verse where in Hebrews chapter 5, he says, about this we have so much to say, and it's hard to explain since you have become dull of hearing. For though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the basic principles of the oracles of God. You need milk, not solid food. For everyone who lives on milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, since he is a child. But solid food is for the mature, for those who have the powers of discernment, trained by constant practice to distinguish good from evil. Talk about discipline. That's exactly what he's talking about there. He's telling them, hey, it's time for you to grow. It's time for you to grow up. You got to discipline yourself. I teach my kids that, or try to teach my kids that each and every day. You have to have self-discipline. It's not about me getting behind you and saying, do this, do that, do that. In the summertime, the schedule's not there. But hey, you have to go to bed on time. You have to learn to get up on time. You have to be self-disciplined because it affects every area of your life.
That's it, man. What a timely message. This is great. We're going to end the show. I'm going to start running. I'm going to start running right away this morning.
Me too. I always preach to myself.
Yeah, it's
time to move on, right? It's time to eat some solid food.
And then I'm going to the ballpark today. So,
some hot dogs.
Hot dogs are coming my way. So, but it really is. I love that, Jason. We do want to welcome you in. Nice little opening monologue here with Jason Bay, pastor at FBC. Of course, I'm Rob Hipp. Thank you for hanging out with us here on a very thankful Thursday episode. And here we go again, 5:38. It's time to lose weight. See, it all flows together, Jason. So, and I think it says tomorrow's promise. So I apologize for that. I forgot to update that to First Baptist. So,
that's okay. We love tomorrow's promise.
We're hooking up tomorrow's promise today, but we are here. Thank you for joining us. Do us a huge favor. Let us know that you're out there this morning. And as always, tell us what you're thankful for today. We love seeing those comments. And so just comment in. You can say hello. You can say I'm thankful for another day. Comment that in, and we'll get to those in a little bit. Many of you also may be joining us on my personal Facebook feed. Facebook has once again this last week changed up the way they do things, and I can no longer make my personal one public whenever we go live, which makes absolutely no sense. I've put in an email to Facebook. I'll hear back from them in 2029.
Yes.
But people are on my personal feed. We don't get to see those comments anymore through our restream, so I have to monitor those individually, but we do want to welcome all of you in. I know also a good friend of ours, Clyde Law. He joins us every day on LinkedIn. His wife Stacy is the director over at the senior center here.
Yes.
Who's also over Meals on Wheels program. That's a wonderful program.
Yep.
And she said, Clyde watches you guys every morning. And I went back because I don't see a lot on LinkedIn. And sure enough, he does. He comments every day.
That's awesome.
So Clyde, we want to give you a special shout out as well. You talk about just a wonderful man. Clyde, I got to know him through Rotary years ago when I first moved to Huntsville. And he had faced medical challenges, dealing with the bout of cancer. And the Lord has worked miraculously in his life as well. And Clyde and Stacy are just two tremendous people. A lot of great people here at Huntsville, and they're two of the best as well. But we are here again. Thankful Thursday, First Baptist Church. More information is online at fbchuntsville.org. Jason, it's been a while. I wanted to highlight this briefly. What an incredible week last week. Over 100 children were here, kids, 50-plus volunteers, maybe even close to 100 came to help out. Vacation Bible schools going on all over the city, but we had such an amazing, in my short, almost 3 years here now, I feel like this last year was the best one we've had. It was just awesome to see the Lord move.
Oh, man, it's always a wonderful time. I love Vacation Bible School. It was a time whenever I gave my life to the Lord when I was 10 years old at a Vacation Bible School in Cypress, Texas at Metropolitan Baptist Church. I gave my life to the Lord, and my kids love it. All my kids have, the ones that have accepted the Lord up to this point have all accepted the Lord during Vacation Bible School. It's been one of those life-changing events. It's the center of our summer, what we look forward to and emphasize. And this year we had 20 kids make decisions for Jesus Christ, 17 of those first-time commitments. And then we will have our baptism service this Sunday. We have a lot of those kids will be baptized, and baptism is a public profession of our faith. We believe in not necessary requirement for baptism for salvation. We believe those kids are going to be with the Lord. But that is definitely a public profession of faith, and they're going to be baptized this Sunday, and we're excited about that, just to celebrate them and their decision, and they're so excited. And two of those are my children, and I'll tell you, I was emotional on Sunday. My kids weren't able to be here because my mother was sick, and so they were watching from home, and when they said, "Daddy, we saw you crying up there," when I was talking about them, because it is so emotional to when your children come to know the Lord and they begin to understand what faith is, and they begin to understand what Jesus did for them, and they make that decision. It's so emotional being able to baptize your children and see them grow in the Lord. And I know you'll get to experience that one day.
Yeah, I when you were talking about that, honestly, like I teared up, man. It's one of those, I won't say rare because it happens a little bit, but I don't tear up a whole lot. But it seems like now that I have children, I tear up quite a bit because I think of my kids. I think of them all the time whenever I hear. And so when you were up there, my first thought was praise God.
Amen.
Two more for the kingdom.
Yes, that's right.
My second thought was, how cool is it for you as a
Yeah,
dad?
I know it. And we don't put pressure on them. We don't emphasize it at home during the week of vacation Bible school. We'll talk about, making a decision for Christ or whatever, but we really want it to be their decision. We don't want it to be pressure from mom and dad to make a decision. We want, and it's a hard decision, especially for the two, especially one of the two that made decisions is really shy and really reserved. And so when she makes a decision, it takes a lot for her to say, hey, I want to know Christ. I want to accept him. And so we were really proud for her and we had a great weekend celebrating her and week and both of them. And we're so thankful to be a part of First Baptist. I mentioned that on Sunday. Over the 10 years that I've been here, this church, Kim's family is in Dallas, and her mother and dad passed away several years ago, and all we have is my mother, who lives by us, but my dad passed away. First Baptist Church has literally become our family, and we just love it, love the people here. They've been so good to us, and we just love our kids having that family. And my older boys are in College Station, but just about every Sunday they want to be in church here because it's their family.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. And, when we're here on a Thursday and we talk about this, we know that that's coming across to many of you. Many of you are watching that don't have a church home, and we want to invite you to come here. Mm-hmm. It's a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
It's just a place, and that's why we kind of started saying the Harbor of Hope. And I say every Sunday morning, it's a Harbor of Hope because we believe that true hope is found through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And I was just talking to a friend about that the other day, and it's neat. Going back, the third thing that happened whenever you were talking about your little girls, that I thought about mine, and I said I can't wait for the day that they do that.
Yeah.
Braylon and I, she's almost 4. We talk about things, and I'll say a little prayer that's kind of like the sinner's prayer, and she's starting to ask me questions about, well, what is this, Daddy, and how does this work, and what really choked me up the other night, and it was a beautiful thing. She remembered my dad. And she remembered going to the hospital the last time we saw him. And she goes, Daddy's Papa sick in heaven? I said, no, baby. He's completely healed.
Amen.
And then she goes, did Jesus do that? I said, yes, he did, sweetheart. And then she goes, did Jesus die on the cross and shed his blood for us? And I said, yes, he did, sweetheart.
That's awesome.
And then she goes, I love Jesus. So she's learning, at that age, they're not fully ready yet, but she's learning.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I don't ever want to pressure her into anything. But it's really neat on Sirius. You have Sirius XM?
No, I don't.
Well, I get it for $4.95 a month. That's why I have it.
That's great.
Because every time it jumps up to the $29, I don't pay it. All right. Now, I'm not cheating the system because the system exists for a reason. I don't pay it. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's a bad thing on your credit. They just say, well, this guy doesn't want anymore, so they'll disconnect it. So then at that point, I'll call them and I'll say, hey, I'd like to reactivate my Sirius XM. Oh, yes, sir. We canceled it because you didn't make your last payment. I said, well, I don't really want to pay the $29.95 a month. And you keep talking to them, and they'll get you down to $4.95.
Golly.
So I've been doing this for about 4 years now.
You're committed.
Yeah, I'm committed. And I enjoy it because, like the old school radio dial. We were talking about this on the show the other day. You had the needle, right?
Yeah.
Someone was telling me that's why, I think it was Jason Thompson. He knew about Case 101, and they called it Case 101. Well, it wasn't 101. It was 100.7. But they called it 101 because on the
close to the dial. Yeah.
Because on the old school radio dial, you get it right there, and you're close to it. You don't know what a 0.7 is on an old school radio dial. Well, you can only go left to 88 and right to 108. And if you went all the way to the right, you'd tear up your radio if you kept trying to turn it.
Yeah.
Well, on digital radio, it just resets. It goes right back to the beginning on most of them. Well, by accident, I turned the knob to the left, and channel 460, the very last channel on the Sirius XM dial for my package, 460, is the Billy Graham channel.
Oh, that's cool.
And again, we said the word timely earlier. It's been so timely hearing his sermons.
Yeah, some of those sermons are so classic.
Well, and in the first one I ever heard, he's preaching in Fargo.
Oh, my gosh.
Back in the 70,000 people showed up. One of the biggest he ever had. Yeah. Oh, you betcha. They were out there. You betcha, don't you know? They brought their bags that day. But he said something. And again, this was, you know my story, Jason, and my career. I felt like the Lord's going to put me in this. I had mentors telling me, not speaking pridefully, but mentors had told me. They said, 5 years, you're probably going to be in the NFL or the NBA. That was the track that I felt. And a friend of mine had said nobody had ever went from never calling a game and not even understanding how the game worked to being a Division I broadcaster in the span of 5 years. And he said, you've done that. It's something to be proud of. And I never really thought of it like that until one of my best friends told me that. He goes, there's guys that have worked 40 years that have never progressed. And he goes, you've progressed that much. And so I felt like, man, this is the track, right? And then things changed. And we all know the story. And I won't go back into it, but we came back and I felt like, family was the most important. And I had a lot of colleagues call me and tell me that they wish that they would have made that decision because they said we missed out on our children growing up because you're always gone.
Yeah.
Well, here's this is where I'm going with all this, Jason. I heard this the other day. I had to write it down because my brain, I never remember anything. And so here it was. Sometimes what inspires you is not what you end up doing. So for me, it was the broadcasting, college sports. That was my inspiration, right? But here's the other part. It's about finding your purpose.
Absolutely.
And, man, that just like you, and I always say this, and you're a humble guy, and you don't like me lifting you up, but I always will, so too bad. But you had said one Sunday morning, a service, you said, it's not necessarily about our dreams, but think about the dreams that God has for us. That was the number one thing that radically changed my way of thinking. And then this the other day was just the sugar on top.
You always hear when we're talking to kids, you can be anything that you want to be. You can be anything that you want to be. And that's kind of a lie because you can't be anything that you want to be. Now, I'm not talking about like being an animal or something. I'm just talking about like if you wanted to be a basketball star or a football star and you weren't made to do that.
Then you're not going to be one.
You can't be one, and you're going to find, or like you see these people on American Idol. They used to. That they don't show the really bad ones much anymore, but they get up there and they want to be a famous pop star, or whatever. But they get up there and they can't sing. And it used to be Simon. I don't even know who's on there anymore, but he would have to tell them that this is not for you. This is not for you, and they would leave crying and whatnot. But I saw an interview with him after that, and he was talking about how he felt like a lot of times he was doing them a service.
He was.
Letting them know that hey, you need to choose something else, do something else. But what I always say is you can be anything and everything you were created to be. You can be anything and everything that you were created to be. The secret's not finding out what you want to do. The secret is finding out what you were created to do.
That's so good, Jason.
Find your purpose. Yeah, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Exactly what Billy Graham was saying in that quote you just read is finding your purpose is so key to doing what God has created you to do and finding that fulfillment and joy in life. I never in a million years, you talk to me in high school and college, ever in a million years thought that I would be a pastor. Even when I was going to seminary, I wasn't planning on being a pastor. That just wasn't in my estimation of what I wanted to do or be, but God had other plans.
I love that. We used to go down to church at Lakewood in Houston, and Pastor Joel had said his famous quote is, "I just didn't know I had it in me." That's what he always says because he
ran from it for a long time.
Yeah, he was behind this, and his dad John, who was a great minister, John always wanted him to. He said, "One day, I think this is your calling. This is where I feel like you're going to do one day." And he goes, "No, I don't think so. Dad, I'm just going to stay behind the scenes." And if you don't know his story, it's really cool. He was brokering media deals back then. Joel was doing that for his dad, and he was really good at it. And there was a story about how they were trying to get on a TV station, to own a TV station back in the day. And we see this with First Baptist Dallas. They own radio stations now that are reaching they own stations in Waco now.
Right.
But he was trying to broker some deals, and they didn't fall through. And then later on, another opportunity came along that was even bigger than that one. And after John had passed away in '99, they went a year with trying to find a pastor, and then they finally came to the decision that hey, Joel's going to do this, and it was kind of neat though because that was the first thing he said. I just didn't know I had it in me, and I think whatever you think about him and whatever, I put that aside. We don't realize what God has instilled in us, and that's where I'm going with this. And just like you said, I didn't know I was going to be a pastor one day. I didn't know I was going to be working in ministry. I mean, as a Christian, we're all working in ministry.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget that. Don't feel like just because you're not on a payroll at a church that you're not a minister. every person who is a Christian is in the ministry of Christ. You are a minister in your own right. And so I think that's important to think about. But there are things today, somebody's listening today, Jason, I believe, that's saying, I don't know my place. I don't know my purpose. Number one, I think just pray and say, Lord, continue to keep me on the path that's following you. Because when you remain in faith, God's going to reveal that plan and that purpose. It may not come tomorrow. It may not come for 10 years.
Absolutely.
But when you're in faith, you are constantly in pursuit of him.
Absolutely. And you look at back, all those things, when you look back on your journey, all those things add up to where you're going for sure. They all make a difference. Your journey led you to here, and all those things were important. And it's just like I always talk about David. Before he could lead the people, he first had to lead the sheep. And you may look back and think, well, he's a shepherd. What does that have to do with being a minister? Well, God was teaching him lessons all along that would be useful. And you have to look at it that way as well, is that everything that you go through is leading you up to where you are. And just trust God that there's a purpose and a plan behind it.
I wanted to share something. A good friend of mine last night posted this. I think he posted it this morning, actually. Let me double check here. But Brian Adams is the analyst for Sam Houston for the Huntsville Hornets. I had the privilege of working with Brian for a few years, and he and I became pretty good friends, really close friends. And it was neat what I saw him post last night or this morning. Maybe it was last night. There's a picture of Brian standing talking to a group of people. This group of people wasn't just any group of people. It was the folks at Restore Texas Ministries here in Huntsville. Many of us have heard. I think I've had somebody on from that organization. But Brian said this, and here's the thing: when you publish something on Facebook and it's got a globe on it, it goes public. So we're just the audio part of Facebook here right now. So Brian said this. He said, tonight was one of the coolest experiences I've had in probably the last 20 years. I got to speak to about 25 people that are trying to turn their lives around at Restore Texas Ministries in Huntsville. I was about to start my work day last week. I'd gone into a restaurant to get my bite of breakfast, and when I came out, the sticky note was on my driver's side window. And the sticky note, and he took a picture of it, it says, "He is always with you," Isaiah 43:2. And he said, I came out, and he goes, that note has changed my life. And he said that he read that, and he said, this gave me the courage to get up and give my testimonial and encouragement and hopefully make a difference. And he said, if I had helped just one person tonight, then it would have been a big success. And he said, God is great. Again, you never know what one little seed is going to plant in somebody's life. And just, with Brian, broadcasting, he doesn't realize, and he does now, but I don't think he realizes in that moment before how God has been using him and preparing him for things like this. And I think of a lot of it in my broadcasting career that I would have been so nervous to talk to people. But God puts these things in your life for a reason. And I want to encourage you that if you lived your entire life and you brought one person to the Lord, heaven's rejoicing.
Amen.
You don't have to bring millions of people to the Lord. If your whole mission in life was to encourage somebody, maybe there's somebody that's been in your life for 50 years that you've been praying for. And if it's that one person that comes to know the Lord, you've done your job.
Yeah, I mean, we see America over the past 50 years move away from faith in a lot of ways. And if you could just reach your own family, we would be, where we would be as a nation. We'd still, but when I was going to seminary and learning all these things, the church was really in a steep decline as a whole, as the American church. But I really do believe we're seeing a resurgence of the church in a major way. We're seeing a revival take place, especially among our younger people. And it's an exciting time to be a part of the church, because many people didn't, as they looked at the statistics, they didn't see this day coming, but they didn't know what God can do. They were trusting in man's efforts, not what the Lord can do. But I do believe we're seeing a major resurgence of faith among young people and all people. But I think young people especially are seeing the need for a relationship with Christ and a relationship with one another.
Well, one other thing, Jason, then I'll flip gears. I want to recognize somebody that I was at last night. Then we'll take a break and we'll have news you can use.
All right.
I haven't got the new intro ready yet.
Oh, yes.
A friend of mine called me yesterday or 2 days ago, and he's been up at Dallas. There's a huge Methodist church up there. I think it's one of the largest in the United States. And one of the presidents used to attend that church when they lived up in that area, former president. And he had went up there. So this young man used to be the kind of media director for Sam Houston State University. Well, as God would have it, and he always does, he connects you with people that are, that you find people and you connect with them immediately. Well, this man, Tommy, became one of my good friends at the university. Immediately, he was the first person that I befriended at Sam Houston State University when I was broadcasting there. And Tommy and I had kept in touch, and we still use the sound machine that he bought, that he and his wife got Braylon whenever for our baby shower. We still have it, little Sam. We use it every night. She goes to sleep to the static of the sound machine, and that's just the friend Tommy's been. He's thought about our family and me. And long story short, he ends up taking a job up at this big Methodist church up in Dallas to help them with their productions, and built this world-class studio for their broadcasting, for their live streaming and all that. And he was sending me pictures when they were working on it. And, this church has thousands of members, and it was incredible what he did. Well, an opportunity came along back here close to home in College Station. And he said, I couldn't pass this up. And so now they're bringing him on to help build up their media. And this church has a few thousand members as well, but they were looking for somebody. And Tommy had heard about it. And so he took the job. And here's what's cool about it. Is he and I were just sharing faith on the phone the other day, and he said he's excited to get back close to this area, and I've really missed him. Well, now he's coming back close, and so he and I have already discussed meeting up and helping each other with what he's doing at his church and what we're doing here at First, and so we're going to swap ideas, and he knows this stuff in and out. And so yet again, here's someone that God puts in your life that he moves on, and you think, okay, well, we're still going to be friends from a distance, but now coming full circle, I would have never imagined 5 years ago when I met him that we'd be talking about media ministry, and that's what we both do now. And I just think that's incredible how the Lord works.
Yeah, I know you're going to mention this, but I just on the heels of that, it shows you, like you were talking about first when we began talking about this, the Osteens, and how he was first in the media, behind the scenes, and then when he came to the ministry, that whole thing blew up. But a large part of that was knowing the importance of getting the message beyond the walls of the church, the media aspects of church, what they're doing online, what we're doing on the radio, what we're doing in multimedia is so important nowadays. And that's why one of the reasons we wanted you to be a part of what God is doing here, because we truly believe that in order to reach people, you have to reach beyond the walls of your church.
Yeah, it goes back to the Great Commission in Matthew, go and make disciples of all nations. And that's what we're called to do. And all nations means with your church that you have now, continuing to make disciples in your own church. It means outside of these walls in your community. But the Bible doesn't say just do it in your church and just do it in your community or just do it in your region, of all nations.
To the ends of the earth.
And I remember a pastor, I was talking to him about that, and this was years ago, Jason, when I was still, and I'm excited to announce I'm at 0.01% right now of what I need to know. It's awesome,
We're all there.
I finally got to 0.01%. I was 0.001. I'm finally at 0.01. But I remember this pastor, I was talking to him years ago, and I said, we put such a heavy emphasis on these foreign missions. Why do we do that when we have people right in our own backyard? And he told me that. He goes, we are ministering to those people in our backyard, but he goes, but the Bible teaches us to make disciples of all nations.
Right.
And we can't forget that.
Yep.
I've never been a fan of the grass is greener on the other side. We got to take care of our own grass and water it first, which I agree with that. But we also, in a spiritual way, relating to that, we need to go out and we need to reach people beyond the walls. And everybody has a purpose and a plan that the Lord has put in their life, and you just got to continue to seek that. So
yeah, for sure.
So good discussion this morning. All right, we're done. We're going to go working. No, I'm just kidding. Well, hey, I wanted to switch gears, and then we're going to take a break. I was very blessed last night. I've been a Rotarian now for, goodness, what am I, 41? 20 years, Jason. I've been in the Rotary Club. It's been an amazing organization, a big influence in my life. And the Rotary Club is the whole motto of Rotary, started by Paul Harris in Chicago well over 100 years ago. It was just a group of men got together and said, let's talk about business and ways that we can better our community in Chicago. And Paul Harris started this, and it's grown to almost every country in the world now. There's the thousands and thousands of Rotary clubs. One of the neatest things is when you travel, you get to visit other clubs. They're very big on attendance. And when you walk in, it's just like walking into, if you're a Baptist church and you walk into another Baptist church, it's kind of like you feel like, hey, I'm right at home. Well, the same thing with Rotary. And once a year, we go through a change of directors, like a lot of organizations. Some of them, board members will stay on for, 3-year terms. But every year they rotate off and on. And once a year, we have an installation of a new president, new vice president, all these things. But last night, we got to celebrate the installation of our new Huntsville Rotary Club president. This is a person who is a friend of this program, been a friend of mine since I came to Huntsville. And I wanted to give a very public shout out and a congratulations to that man in the middle right there. That is none other than our county commissioner, Precinct 3, Bill Doggett, our new Huntsville Rotary Club president for the next year. And that's his beautiful wife, Deborah, there to the right. And on the left is David Stanley, another great man that's been in this community for many, many years. But Bill, his motto has always been, let's just make things one thing better each day in Huntsville. Mm-hmm. And he made that same promise to the Rotary, and I know that he is going to do exceptionally well.
Yeah, and Rotary Club does do so much for our community and gives back in so many different ways. I'm on the board there at the Care Center of Huntsville. I know they just helped the Care Center as well, and they were overjoyed with the donation they made to the Care Center, but not just the Care Center. I know they give back to every nonprofit organization in the community and work hard to make Huntsville better.
Yeah, so that's right. And big shout out again. Thank you to Bill Doggett. He constantly joins this program. He's been a guest on this program numerous times, and I know he's going to do a great thing. And I can't just say thank you to Bill without saying a huge thank you to Michelle Spencer. She is with the Boys and Girls Club. She has been our president for the past year. And we've saw, and nothing on any previous presidents, they've all been great, but under Michelle's leadership, we have an event called Wine Quest. That event brought in over $100,000 this year. Vance Howard matched. The club raised, I think, $52,000. Vance said he'll match it up to $200,000. So he tossed in another $50,000, and so over $100,000 was raised through that event this year. Rotary was able to give back to over 15 nonprofits here in this community. And Michelle has done a phenomenal job, and so I just wanted to say thank you to Michelle as well for her leadership and now kind of passing the torch, which is always a fun thing. So we're going to take a brief break, and hey, you know what I'm going to give away today? More Cat Cafe gift certificates. Cat Cafe is right down the road from us here. Yeah. That's our friend over there, Miss Elizabeth Floor. She used to own Pita Pit back. You remember the Pita Pit back in the day? That was her business. Well, she's got the Cat Cafe now. She's had this for many years. And it's over in the old courthouse jail. That old building down the slope. Mm-hmm. Well, right down the slope over there, Jason. That's where she's at. Really cool building. And we got $20 coming your way today. Some coffee. There's all sorts of treats in there. And all you have to do is text in the keyword heat. Heat. We're not talking Miami Heat because I've never been a fan of that team because they were so good back in the day. We're talking summer heat.
Yeah, they stacked it, didn't they?
Stack it up. Yeah, they back in the day. What was up with those guys?
Yeah, LeBron,
Shaq. Yeah, LeBron was LeBron. Did he play? He never got to play with Shaq though, did he?
No. But remember the decision, all that. Do you remember that?
No,
You don't remember the show that ESPN did called The Decision with LeBron when he chose to go to Miami?
They made it this big deal.
Oh, it was a huge deal. They took over the airways for him to, and he got all kind of flack for it though. So I mean, it backfired on him majorly because everybody thought he was going to do this big production on ESPN to say where he was going to go, and so they thought it meant that he was going to go. He was going to do the right thing and go back to Cleveland, and that's why he was making this big production about it. That this is his chance to show he's a humble guy and all that. No, man, he pulled the rug out from those guys in Cleveland. They burned his jersey.
I do remember this.
To Miami, the Heat with Bosch and Dwayne Wade.
And I was thinking of who else was there, and it was Dwayne Wade. It kind of reminded me like Babyface. He was a good player.
Yeah, and then they at the press conference he said, we're going to win 4, 5, 6 championships. Remember that? I think they won 1.
Yeah. Man, and I do want to say before we take a break, text in HEAT, by the way, with your name. The number's 936-339-0139. Maybe you're watching or listening on Spirit Radio FM for the first time, or maybe you've never texted in. Today's the day to do it. You'll win this $20 gift certificate.
Yes.
Again, HEAT is the keyword, 936-339-0139. 0139. Jason, before we take that break, I'm going to come back just for a brief moment. I was so confident that somebody was going to San Antonio that I'd started sending you the rumor mill big time, and it did not happen.
Yeah. I heard about this.
And after I started thinking about it, I was very happy because I said, you know what? We're building for the future like we always have.
Yeah, they gave up a lot. Houston got
for what, 2 years of success, and then they're going to be back to the bottom of the barrel.
Kevin Durant. They got Kevin Durant, traded away a lot of assets to get him. We'll see. I mean, they've made their team better, I think, but in the short term. But hey, the big news in the basketball front is what happened last night. Cooper Flag going to Dallas, my team, and we'll see. Man, Dallas just hit the lottery literally.
They got an A+ rating. We got the number 2 pick in San Antonio. I forget the young man's name, but they gave him a B rating.
Oh, really?
But that's okay because we've had guys like Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker that nobody ever knew who they were.
Nowhere. That's right. Same way with Caruso. He was an Aggie. He went to the developmental league. Then he got finally with the Lakers, and then won a championship with them. And then they traded him to Oklahoma City, won a championship with them a couple of nights ago. So, I mean, and then Caruso, I followed his career since he was at A&M. But when he was at A&M, he was kind of an accessory player, but just a hard-working player. And then he went to the developmental league and worked his way all the way up. You never know.
Well, we're rooting for the Spurs, Jason.
You're rooting for the Spurs.
Yeah, I said, don't include me in that weird talk, man. All right, we're going to take that break now, I promise. As always, our Thankful Thursday is brought to you by First Baptist Church, a harbor of hope here in Huntsville. Go to our website. Find out more information online at fbchuntsville.org. We'll take that brief break. We'll be back in a moment. More to come. This is your show. It is Good Morning Huntsville. Stay with us, please.
The church should be transformational. And maybe you've never been to church, or maybe life has left you feeling lost, but Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." At First Baptist Church, Huntsville, a harbor of hope, we're not trying to fit in with the world. We're here to help you step into something greater, a fresh start, a new life in Christ. Join us this Sunday at 10:45 and see what God can do in your life. Visit fbchuntsville.org. Hope is here, and we're saving a seat just for you.
Loving Jesus, loving people side by side. In this harbor of hope, we are safe inside.
Hey, I'm Denise Olivas, Business Account Specialist at Walker County Federal Credit Union. One of the best things I hear from our members is how they love being treated like they're important, like their family. Sure, our members love things like low rates on loans too, but combine that with the friendliest and most helpful service in town, and you've got Walker County Federal, taking care of our members. It's what we do. We are Walker County Federal Credit Union, member NCUA.
At Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools, we're not just a place where children pass the time. We're not a daycare. We're a child care center focused on growth, learning, and discovery. Every day, children engage in meaningful activities that build confidence, independence, and a love for learning. From reading and math to social and practical life skills, our students are active participants in their development. Ready to give your child something more? Visit tomorrowspromise.info and discover what makes our school different. Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools. Education you can trust.
Hi, I'm Billy Cawthon, manager of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. We know times of loss are tough, and you need a place to feel comfortable and cared for. At Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, we pride ourselves on being with you during those really tough days. You can rest assured that we will be on your side and by your side every step of the way. Thank you for your trust. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, supporting families every day, every step.
This is Guardian Defense in Huntsville, Texas, a trusted family-owned and operated gun store and range in the heart of East Texas. Guardian Defense is your one-stop destination for Texas LTC, NRA basic pistol and rifle courses, pistol refresher training, as well as a wide selection of quality firearms and ammunition. At Guardian Defense, empowerment is within reach through their Texas DPS-approved license to carry classes. Certified instructors will guide you through every facet of firearm safety, conflict resolution, and the pertinent legal aspects. Book now to become proficient and responsible in handling a firearm with complete confidence. For the eager learners, the fundamentals of pistol and rifle usage await discovery in their comprehensive 8-hour NRA basic courses. You're invited to connect with Guardian Defense on Facebook and Instagram, or give them a call at 936-293-0364. You can also visit them online at guardiandefensellc.com. Guardian Defense, your reliable partner in mastering firearm safety and acquiring quality firearms in the heart of Texas.
Imagine a voice of hope reaching every corner of Huntsville, from homes and hospitals to prison walls. That's the heart of Spirit Radio. We're a truly local 501c3 nonprofit, and we're raising $25,000 to build our tower and get on the air. With your help, we'll broadcast encouragement, truth, and the love of Christ across our community and across the world through the Spirit Radio FM app. Visit spiritradio.fm and give today. Let's bring light to Huntsville and beyond together.
This is KHSP LP, Huntsville, Texas, the spirit of Huntsville.
This is Jason Bay, the pastor at First Baptist Church, Huntsville, and you're listening to Spirit Radio, the spirit of Huntsville.
The spirit of Huntsville, spiritradio.fm.
And now, that's like I always say, and now, coming at you live, 8:28 in the morning, 8:29 now, 1 minute early, from Studio J, 1229. It's Jason Bay with news you definitely can use. Take it away, Jason.
Oh, Rob, you definitely have a future in this.
Yeah, right.
Broadcast. That was awesome. I love it.
Viewership just went down to 2. Come back, please.
No, they didn't go because of the interview. They left because of who you're introducing.
No, not at all, man.
All right. Well, I do have some news you can use, and it's been a while, Rob, and it's going to be a while. I hate to tell you, because next week we're going on a family vacation, and then the week after that, the next 2 weeks I'll be out. So I'll be listening, though, or I could remote in, whatever you'd rather me do. I can call in and give you some news from the beach, maybe. But I want to give you a couple of articles today that you can use. The Air Jordan 40s are releasing soon. Do you remember the original Michael Air Jordans back in your day?
Were they the black shoes with the word Air that were on them?
Yeah, yeah.
And he signed with Nike instead of Adidas. Nike convinced him. If you watch the movie, it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So the shoes this is the 40th year since the shoe was introduced.
Wow.
And I remember back in the day, people were losing their life over those shoes. Remember that? Like kids were getting shot over trying to get the Air Jordans and stuff, and they've kind of made a resurgence in the last few years. They were kind of going back to the classic look, But anyway, the 40s will be released July the 13th, I believe, is what the article said. They're set to price around $200.
You know who will have them?
Who's that?
Lee Barron will have them.
Yep,
They're a Nike authorized distributor.
Yeah, yes, they will have them. July 12th, I'm sorry, and Jordan's brand's website and other third-party retailers will have them, and so if you want to pick up, they're not bad looking. See there? I mean, they're not so outlandish.
Well, they could do a better job on the photo with the shoelace. That's kind of just thrown in there, for $200, Jason.
Yeah, for $200.
I just had to find something to complain about on it.
Yeah, and check out this on the bottom. Nice. On the bottom of the shoe is like an angle. See that angle? It's like a little angle there. I know the people on can't see it at home, but there's like an angle shaped on the shoe. What's cool about that is that it's angled at the degree of 40 degrees, and it's to remind or to symbolize that it's the 40th year anniversary of the Air Jordan. So
cool.
That's pretty cool. And it's using some new technology and the foam that's within the shoe. It'll be the first time that they've used this full type of full-length Zoom X foam is what they're calling it. So,
Did Jordan have the pumps back in the day? Who came out with the pumps?
I think that was Reebok.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I had me a pair. You pumped it up on the
and
everybody,
tongue. Everybody was like, "Hey man, are you pumping up your shoes?
Pump it up." Yeah, that was.
I'm going to show these real quick, Jason, because you'd had the pictures there.
Yeah, there it is, right
there. Just wanted to show these to the folks. So there they are, the new.
If you like tennis shoes, there you go. My boys love the new tennis shoes. Now I don't know about $200 worth of tennis shoe, but There it is.
Yeah, pretty awesome. All right.
Yeah. All right. So there's one thing that you can definitely use. A few other things. Speaking of anniversaries, the 50th year anniversary of Jaws is coming up in July. Did you watch Jaws back in the day?
I never got into it.
You never did?
No.
Oh man, I remember watching that as a kid, and it scared me to death. I was scared to take a bath, I think, for a while. Somehow Jaws was going to come out and get me. But yeah, so they're having all kind of things on different shows. There's a documentary coming out about the making of the movie and what went into it. So
is Shark Week still a thing? Do people still?
Yeah,
is that
it still is.
TLC started that, right?
I don't know when it is, but this is a documentary, Jaws at 50. It will air on National Geographic in July. So check that out if you're into Jaws.
Well, and if you go back now, 50 years ago, and you look at it, you can tell. I mean, it was pretty. I did watch the part of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched it all the way through.
It does look that shark though looks pretty fake.
But now, like when you're young, you're like But now you're like, come on, man, that thing looks like it's made of paper mache. I'm surprised it didn't rot up and fall off on that show.
Speaking of movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I love Arnold, man.
Okay.
The Governator.
Yeah. So what's your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
It's just cliche. Terminator 2.
Yeah. So that's probably the most popular franchise is Terminator. But in this article that he did for People, he reveals which movie made him the most money.
Kindergarten Cop.
Close.
I love that one and Jingle All the Way. Those are my two favorites. I love those two.
Yeah. No, it wasn't either one of those, but close. Is there another guess that you have before I tell you?
No.
Danny DeVito. Do you remember?
Oh, Twins.
Yep.
That one made the most.
That one made him the most money. And Twins. So there you go. I don't know if I ever saw that movie.
What was the one where? Oh man, what was her name? He was an undercover spy. And his wife didn't know about it, and then she finally.
Oh yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was. What was that? That was like
they have him drugged or whatever, and he's like, it's the truth serum.
Yeah,
They're like, what's going to happen? He's like, I'm going to cut this off, then I'm going to kill you. And then that's what happened. He's like, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then you're going to be dead.
Back in the day, he was in so many movies. He was in a lot of different movies.
Man, that's bothering me
I know
now.
it's going to
bother
you.
What was that? Arnold, let's see, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like CIA movie.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Come on, AI. See, the AI is working. True Lies. That was
True Lies. Yes, I remember that movie.
I'm starting to think of all these now. Total Recall. I love that movie.
Total Recall.
That was another good one.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. I mean, he was in a lot of movies. But anyway,
I had a nightmare. That's crazy to think that Twins.
Yeah.
I had a nightmare about Total Recall.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, because I watched it.
Uh-huh.
It was the part where before they release the atmosphere, and he flies out there onto the Martian, and his eyes are bulging out, and he's all, did you ever see that? And that scene scared me to death, and I used to think that was going to happen to me when I went outside.
Anyway, there's a couple of things you can use as far as movies are dealing with. Anyway. I appreciated this article. I found it, and it says people are just realizing what the I in iPhone stands for. Apple uses the I before all of its products: iPad, iMac, iPhone, iOS is what they call their operating software. Do you know what the I stands for in the Apple product iMac, whatever.
I'm just going to think of a word, intelligent.
That was a guess by some people. Other people, this article lists all the different things, but Steve Jobs revealed before he died what the I stood for, and the letter I signified just simply the internet. And the reason why is because in 1998, internet technology was at its genesis, and the iMac that was released then stood for the internet, because this computer was incorporating the internet into their computer. So
that's crazy. I guess when you know you're aging, because there was we were alive during some of the coolest things when technology really just bolstered. Got to witness that firsthand, going from no computers to now what we have now. And I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and I said, I bet you weren't. And I hate to put it in this context, but, just like people a lot of times will say stuff about, they'll relate something to COVID. They'll say, well, after COVID or before COVID, that was a definitive point in history. For me, a lot of times it's 9/11. And when I'm talking to somebody, I'll say, well, you remember before 9/11 or after? And I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and I said something. I said, wait a minute, you weren't even born when 9/11. She goes, no, I was born a year after. And it's just crazy because I remember that like it happened yesterday. Just like when the internet started to take off. I remember as a child, dialing into the hometown bulletin board service before you could get on to all these big services. And those were some really cool days, and we got to witness all that.
Yeah, I know it. I remember the first time. I remember where I was the first time that I logged on to the internet. It was at my grandmother's house. I had just gotten a new computer, and it had one of those, the CD-ROM with AOL on it. And I popped that thing in, and it was like you got free, however many hours.
Like 50 hours.
Yeah, whatever it is. And it was already auto-loaded onto the computer, and you just logged in. I still have that same email address that I started with back in the AOL days. Yeah, so it's pretty. The time does go by so fast. The kids today, they don't even like my kids. Think about it. They never grew up in a time where the internet didn't exist.
I just can't imagine
have
that.
all that technology at their fingertips just in an instant. It's unbelievable.
I remember my mother, she had the encyclopedias, World Book.
Yeah, we did too, man.
And I'd have to go to that thing when I did homework, and it was, and they sent you, you buy the whole, and then every year you'd pay. See, that's how they get you. You get the annual, so they'd renew it every year.
Yeah, you got the whole encyclopedia set, and then you got the annuals, every year, like the atlas. It would tell you whatever was going on. And those were really useful. I mean, I used the heck out of those back in the day. We would interested in something, you go pick it up and look in there and find it out. And even phone books back in the day, everybody had a phone book. You look through phone books to find somebody's number or Yellow Pages, and now none of that stuff ever is even exist anymore.
My dad, his name was Charles, but in the phone book they couldn't fit it in there, so it said Hip Chaz. So all the time growing up, I'd say, "What's up, Chaz?" Like, that's not my name. He was so angry. He told the phone company, like, y'all need to get that fixed. And then I guess they all, one phone book copied the other, so all the phone books said Chaz in it. What's up, Chaz?
Well, I know how much you like fast food hamburgers. And so recently, if you've gone to any of the local fast food hamburger places, you've probably noticed this new phenomenon with the smash burger. Have you tried one of those?
I've heard of them, but I haven't.
Yeah, so In-N-Out Burger made this kind of famous, the way that they cook their hamburgers. It's a smash style, and some people out there may like it. I really haven't got into it, but I know a lot of our places around here do it. And this article from All Recipes, by the way, it says the secret ingredient to fast food style smash burgers. And it says you already have it in your refrigerator. And the key to this article, they say the key to the smash burger is they cook it with mustard. Put a little bit of mustard on the burger, and you smash it down, and it creates kind of the mustard with the griddle creates some sort of like a caramelization of the meat, and that's what gives you the smash burger taste, is the little bit of mustard you put on the meat before you smash it down. So,
you're a burger guy, right?
Yeah, I love burgers.
Well, I think the burgers for me, I think it is in the family blood.
Yeah.
And I always said back in the day, if I couldn't ever figure out what I was going to do, I was going to do this. And it was my family owned a San Antonio Landmark back in the day. Have I ever showed you this, Jason?
No, I have never seen this.
So check it out, man. Let me. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to zoom in here. It's not letting me zoom in.
Was that on that screen there?
Yeah. It's people can see it on the stream.
There we go.
So this is a San Antonio Landmark. This was cool stuff back in the day, man. I wanted to show this here.
So it's in your blood.
It's in the blood. This was a little hole in the wall, and all of the Spurs players back in the day used to eat here. Maybe that's why I'm a big Spurs fan too. But there you go. Little Hips back in the day.
Little Hips.
A little hole in the wall, and they made burgers the size of a plate, 12 inches. I mean, these things were massive.
Now, is that part of your family?
Yeah, that was one of my great uncles.
Okay.
Uncle Quincy.
All right.
Had that, or Uncle Dickie. My sister, she's watching. She'll tell me I'm wrong. I forget which one it is. But this was the closing day that they decided to close the restaurant. What had happened is they called him Snooks. That was his nickname.
Okay.
My Uncle Snooks had I think his LD, Lane Dixon hip. I think Snooks was his nickname. But he had been diagnosed with cancer, and he said, I don't want this thing to carry on. I want it to die with me. And so they shut down Little Hips. But Jason, man, and now it's called Armadillo Burger. One of the cooks there kept the legacy alive, and it's called Armadillo Burger. And when you walk in and eat, and the outside doesn't look like much. When you walk in, they've got just all sorts of decorations in that place. It's really neat. Just car memorabilia, all stuff inside of that little shed. And they still make the burgers, and there's a paddle in there that still says Little Hips on it. And one of the neatest things about it, too, is you would order fried. Everything came out huge. They were doing the smash burger before the smash burger was smashed.
Yeah, now everybody has it. You can get it at Sonic. You can get it wherever. I mean, it's if you like the smash burger, there you go. Try it at home with a little bit of mustard.
Try Little Hips smash burger.
That's right. A little bit of mustard, smash that sucker, and you got a caramelized patty right there. So you're going to have to try that this weekend. All right, Wall Street Journal has an article about that came out this week. Car carrier sinks in the Pacific after blaze on deck carrying EVs. I thought this was this huge, big old ship in the Pacific Ocean. It was a 60,000-ton cargo ship. Sank this week out because it was carrying a bunch of EVs. It's a 600-foot-long ship, had been adrift since June the 3rd when a fire broke out and forced the crew to abandon the vessel. The name of the ship was called the Morning Midas, and it was carrying 3,000 cars. Can you imagine that?
Good night.
It was about 800 electrical vehicles, and most of these vehicles were EVs that were manufactured in China and were bound for Mexico. Now, they don't know why the fire broke out, but most people are speculating that it's the lithium batteries used in these electric vehicles that are highly flammable. But all of these cars were sunk down into the bottom of the ocean. Can you imagine that insurance claim?
And it's called what was it, Midas?
Yeah, the Morning Midas. That's the name of the ship.
Well, you know the motto, trust the Midas touch. You ain't trusting the Midas touch on that one, man.
Yeah, no kidding. Can you imagine the loss there? Yeah.
It's got to be those Temu trucks. Have you seen the electric Temu trucks? You can buy them for like $2,000. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't.
You can buy these little trucks for like $2,000. They're electric trucks.
Oh, we need to get one.
$2,000.
We'll probably set everything on fire with that.
Let's get that bad boy. Put an FBC logo on the side of it.
We need it.
It's the FBC wagon.
All right. On the last thing that I wanted to share, I thought this was pretty cool because we've heard about these things, and this is some things that we can discuss. Let's see. These are fun facts that people have believed are true that are actually false. Now, I had to look some of these up because after I've heard them so long that I couldn't literally believe that they were false. But these are some pretty interesting things that are actually not true that people have said for years. One of them, I'm just going to list a few of them. Bats are blind. They're often thought to be blind because they hunt by echolocation. So they don't use their eyesight to hunt with, but bats can actually see quite well. So that's good to know, living here in Huntsville, right across, and also being at the church right across from the bat cave, where we see thousands of bats depart every night.
2 million.
Yeah. Sometimes you think they're blind because I think maybe that got started because of the way they run into things just haphazardly. I mean, we've had dead ones laying out here by the front of the church on several occasions because they just smash into something.
You hear on we like to go see them, but I always thought they were blind. Never knew that, Jason.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of stuff on here. Here's another one. That we only use 10 to 30% of our brain capacity. You heard that before?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so the truth is we use 100%. The only way that got started was because we only used 10 to 30% of our brains for thinking and that sort of thing. The other part of our brain is used for stuff that maintains the way our body functions. So we don't usually think about using that part of the brain. So in a way, it's true, but it's not exactly. 90% of the body's functions are using for organ function, stuff like that.
Yeah, like our heart beating. We can't tell our brain, hey, stop beating. It does it on its own.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple of others that I thought were very interesting that I found out were false or that we thought were true. People say your hair grows back thicker if you shave.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It just looks thicker sometimes because of the stubble that you see there. So
I have hair. Bridget got on to me when we went to the not the Galveston beach, the El Jardín beach. It's outside of Pasadena. It's only an hour 30 minutes from here.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it's pretty close. And I'm at the beach, I had my shirt off, and she starts laughing. I said, "What?" She goes, "You got hair growing on your back." I'm not a hairy guy, but now I'm getting to that age, Jason, where the hair is starting to grow between the shoulder blades.
Mine too, brother. So I feel for you.
So she's like, "Don't." She said, "I'm not going to shave that. I don't want it to grow back." And she said that. She's like, "It'll grow back even worse."
Yeah, yeah.
It's false, Bridget.
Another one that's been highly spread, and each one of these, I think, they start off with a kernel of truth, and then it just kind of spreads. But you've probably heard this, and I've heard this a lot. The idea that local honey can treat or cure seasonal allergies.
Yeah.
You've heard that?
Yeah, Jason Thompson's a beekeeper. We may need to ask him about this one.
Yeah, well, I have bees also, and that was one of the big things, is that it can help treat seasonal allergies. But let me tell you how this started and where it got, because, local honey contains small amounts of pollen that the bees collect to make the honey, right? And so the thought is that by eating this honey regularly, you're being exposed to tiny doses of pollen. It becomes like a natural vaccine. Over time, this can desensitize your immune system to allergens and reduce your allergic reaction. But the only problem with that is most seasonal allergies are caused by wind-borne pollen, like trees, grass, and weed pollen. Not the pollen bees typically collect, like flower pollen. So even if the pollen does help you, it would only help you with those things that the flowers have, that type of pollen, not the trees and the grass and the weeds that most people are allergic to.
I've heard that all the time, that bee, yeah. So if you see that label that says, "Oh, it's local, it'll help you with your allergies," debunked. Lies.
Yeah, there you go. Right here on News You Can Use, we're solving the things that people are constantly struggling with here. One other one, you've heard the Jonestown Massacre. You remember the Jonestown Massacre?
I've heard of it, but I never looked into it, but I've heard of it.
Okay, but you've heard of the phrase, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid"?
Yep.
Okay, because they committed a mass suicide there, and the leader, Jim Jones, or I think that was his name, he was this preacher that took all these people out to, I can't remember the place now, but it was an island, and whenever the government started looking into it, that there was some abuse going on there, then he had them all commit suicide. And actually, it wasn't Kool-Aid that they drank. They actually drank Flavor Aid. Remember the old Flavor Aid? They didn't even drink the real thing. They drank the knockoff version.
Well, that's the problem. We should have had the real stuff.
Flavor
Aid. Yeah, that was like the cheap brand next to the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, another one, really quick, that you've heard this probably, that you lose most of your body heat from the top of your head. Your mother probably told you that when you went outside.
That's why you got to wear a toboggan.
Yeah, you got to wear a hat or something because you lose most of the heat from the top of your head. Scientists say that's not true. You lose the same amount of heat from your head as you would do from any other part of your body that would expose. The percentage of heat that you would lose would be equivalent to any other part of your body that was exposed. The only problem is most of the time our head is exposed, and there's a lot of exposure there. They say about 10% of your body heat can be lost.
I probably think that because heat rises. So
yeah.
See,
I don't know where that came from.
I hate to read these, Jason, because then it starts making it.
It's messing you up. It's throwing you off.
Well, it makes me disrespectful to my mom. Like, you're wrong, and these have been passed on for generations.
Here's one that I didn't know, that I knew because of my degree in the background. You've heard of the phrase "sweating like a pig."
Mm-hmm.
Well, pigs
They don't sweat.
They don't actually sweat. That's why they're in mud holes all the time. Is because the only way they have of regulating their temperature, cooling themselves down, is through panting. And a lot of times they can't pant fast enough to cool their body temperature. It's not that pigs like the mud necessarily. It's just their way of cooling themselves down because they can't sweat.
I always say the phrase sweat. I always say, man, I sweat like a hog. I've always said that.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Sweat like a hog.
You're missing it. And last one, you can catch a cold from being outside in cold weather. You've heard this before, right?
That one's true. That'll debunk every grandmother and mom in the world.
Well, here's the thing. A cold is a viral infection, so most of the time the cold that you get is from being around other people. So actually, a cold is caught from being inside rather than being outside. And in cold weather, a lot of times we're inside more often than we are outside. So being inside and confined with other people is generally why we get colds in the winter.
See, I was splashing in puddles one time in the middle of a heavy downpour.
Yeah.
And I got soaked. And then the next day I got strep throat. And I remember my dad saying, well, you got strep throat because you didn't dry off. Mm-hmm. So that's false. Man.
I don't know. I'm just reporting the news, brother. I don't make it.
Page number 2. Dissing all the mamas and grandmas.
Yeah, everybody is just going to their computer, to their AI, looking up all these fun facts to prove that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, hey, be sure to correct me. We need your input, and also it helps our algorithms.
Well, I do have to ask you this. Yeah, they're listening right now. Viewership rise. Quick question for you, Jason, because I know that Granny Bay watches this show periodically.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Anything that your mom has ever told you growing up?
All of those.
Yeah,
the honey one for sure. You know, we got bees, and that was our selling tactic. The cold one for sure. I mean, every one of those. That's why they stuck out to me, except the Flavor Aid one.
When I would see, when I would scratch my, when you're a child, it seems like you're more prone to scratching your eye. And I'm not talking scratch. I'm talking about like dust gets in it or something, and it hurts. It's awful. My grandmother used to pour milk in my eye when that would happen, and she said that it soothes your eye.
Remember that? Did you ever have that mercurochrome? Did your parents ever have that mercurochrome stuff? Mm-mm. It's like they call it like monkey's blood.
Oh, yeah. That's what I knew it was like iodine. Yeah, my dad called it monkey. He put that on everything.
Everything. It didn't matter what happened. You just had this.
It'd ruin your clothes.
I don't even know if you can get that stuff anymore. But, yeah, my mother swore by that back in the day. It probably did work.
My dad used it like crazy, and as he got older, his skin was real frail, and he had that stuff all. I think it was like tattooed into his body because my poor dad had that. If he was still here today, he'd be telling us about it because he used to watch the show. He'd be telling us right now. But man, that stuff was everywhere.
Yeah,
and he called it that. I'd cut myself. Well, come over here, let me put a little monkey's blood on it.
Yeah, right.
And it was like it's like the PVC purple pipe cleaner.
Yeah,
had like the same thing, man, with that little foam on it. I was like, Dad, are you sure this is that pipe cleaner? Like the semen or whatever,
That was one of the things that we lived by back in the day.
Let us know before we take our final break, and when we come back, we'll ask you, but what are some home remedies that maybe your parents back in the day used to tell you, or what are some that you tell your children? And we'll be more than happy to debunk those for you here on the show.
We're trying to give you some news you can use here.
Take away generational traditions. Today, they're gone. Just like that guy from Nature's Balance. You don't understand. It's gone. They're going to be gone.
Absolutely.
So we'll take one final break. Your final opportunity this morning to text in to win. We are giving away $20 to our friends at Cat Cafe. And all you got to do is text in the keyword
heat.
Heat.
Not the Miami Heat, but just text in Miami Heat just to aggravate Rob.
Yeah, you could put Miami Heat in there and we'll still get the text. Because it says heat. 936-339-0139. That's the number to text in, 936-339-0139. We'll take that final break. We'll call a winner when we come back. Also, your time to shine. We'll have a quick look at your weather, and we'll wrap it up when we come back. It's your show here on a very thankful Thursday. This is Good Morning Huntsville. Stay with us, please. Hey,
Hey friends, Rob Hipp, Media and Community Outreach Minister here at First Baptist Church, Huntsville. Let me ask you, when's the last time you felt real hope? Maybe it's been a while since you've been to church, or maybe you've never felt connected to a church at all. Well, friends, that's okay. Here at First Baptist, we're a harbor of hope, and we welcome everyone just as they are. We have programs throughout the week for all ages to come together, ask questions, grow in faith, and find the hope that only Jesus Christ can bring. Whether you're looking for a fresh start or a community to call home, we'd love for you to join us. Come experience something real. For more information, visit fbchuntsville.org. First Baptist Church, Huntsville, a harbor of hope.
In this harbor of hope, we are safe inside.
Hi, I'm Billy Cawthon, manager of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. We know times of loss are tough, and you need a place to feel comfortable and cared for. At Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, we pride ourselves on being with you during those really tough days. You can rest assured that we will be on your side and by your side every step of the way. Thank you for your trust. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, supporting families every day, every step.
At Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools, we're not just a place where children pass the time. We're not a daycare. We're a child care center focused on growth, learning, and discovery. Every day, children engage in meaningful activities that build confidence, independence, and a love for learning. From reading and math to social and practical life skills, our students are active participants in their development. Ready to give your child something more? Visit tomorrowspromise.info and discover what makes our school different. Tomorrow's Promise Montessori Schools. Education you can trust.
Hey, I'm Denise Olivas, Business Account Specialist at Walker County Federal Credit Union. One of the best things I hear from our members is how they love being treated like they're important, like their family. Sure, our members love things like low rates on loans too, but combine that with the friendliest and most helpful service in town, and you've got Walker County Federal, taking care of our members. It's what we do. We are Walker County Federal Credit Union, member NCUA.
This is Guardian Defense in Huntsville, Texas, a trusted family-owned and operated gun store and range in the heart of East Texas. Guardian Defense is your one-stop destination for Texas LTC, NRA basic pistol and rifle courses, pistol refresher training, as well as a wide selection of quality firearms and ammunition. At Guardian Defense, empowerment is within reach through their Texas DPS-approved license to carry classes. Certified instructors will guide you through every facet of firearm safety, conflict resolution, and the pertinent legal aspects. Book now to become proficient and responsible in handling a firearm with complete confidence. For the eager learners, the fundamentals of pistol and rifle usage await discovery in their comprehensive 8-hour NRA basic courses. You're invited to connect with Guardian Defense on Facebook and Instagram, or give them a call at 936-293-0364. You can also visit them online at guardiandefensellc.com. Guardian Defense, your reliable partner in mastering firearm safety and acquiring quality firearms in the heart of Texas. This is KHSP LP, Huntsville, Texas, the spirit of Huntsville.
All right, back at it. Final segment here on In Huntsville. You think if people like changed their accents, you could tell where they were from? Could you do that? Are you pretty good at deciphering accents, Jason?
Now, you, Rob, are really good. I think it's because you have a great radio voice, but you're really good at different voices. In fact, as we grow this radio program platform, there's all I'm envisioning all sorts of characters that you can develop. But for me, it's really hard to disguise my voice or try to change my accent. And I know I got one, so go easy on me, show grace.
Well, you could, Jason. I'm horrible at it. I try to do,
you're great.
I do British accent. People are like, that don't even sound British. Don't ever do that again. I'm horrible at
Good
it.
day, mate.
Yeah, I can't do it.
No, that's not British.
Yeah, see, that's what I do. They'll be like, change your accent to a Spanish guy, and I'll be like, righto. And they're like, that's not even close.
Remember that scene in Dumb and Dumber? You know that movie?
Oh, I love that movie. Pretty bird, Petey. Pretty bird.
He says, where are you from? She's like, Austria. And he said, well, good day, mate.
Yeah, it's like it's not even close. Oh, that's fun. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. You know, it's the best part's when that guy, they give him rat poison at the restaurant, and they're like, oh, they think he's joking, but the guy's dying.
Oh, man, that's classic.
Yeah, classic movie. 77 degrees, 94% humidity as you're up today. Hey, yesterday we had some thunderstorms roll through the area. Pretty torrential rain for a little bit yesterday, lightning. In fact, Jeremy and I were in the sanctuary here at the church, and the light sizzled like that. And then right after, a big old bolt of lightning struck right outside the church. But we could have a chance of those type of thunderstorms again today. It'll be 89 degrees, 40% chance of those storms overnight. Things will clear out, low as 72. And then on your Fridays, we get set up for the weekend. It should be a nice Saturday. We'll have, or tomorrow, 90 degrees, 20% chance of showers. Then things clear out for Saturday, 90 and sunny. And a little bit of rain back in the forecast on Sunday. I think we're in that pattern, though, being so close to the Gulf that this time of the year you have those late afternoon thunderstorms that pop up from all that Gulf moisture. So
we'll say, man, we've been blessed this year because they're experiencing a great heat wave, you know, up in the deep south. But we haven't really had that bad of a temperatures. You know, I don't think we've had one day where it's been over 100 degrees. We've been really blessed with some milder summer so far, it seems like. And then in addition to that, we've been blessed with sporadic rain. You know, we've all the grass, the farmers out there that raising hay for their cows and whatnot have been really blessed this year with an abundant amount of rain, especially this late in the summer already, to be blessed with sporadic rainfall, which has really helped the grass.
Jason Thompson hooked me up with a bunch of tomato plants, and I grew them. I only grew 4 of them, but man, and it's the little cherry tomatoes, the yellow and red ones. Man, those are good. And you know, I've only watered those twice, and normally you got to water those pretty good. I've only had to water them twice because of all the rain that we've received over the last month.
It's been great.
So it's good.
We got a list of home remedies right there, bro.
Yeah,
check that out.
Yeah, I was going to mention this real quick. Autumn wheat. Can you read that, Jason?
I can. I probably could if I tried real hard.
We were talking about this on the show the other day. You have to do like this whenever you get
Put a potato slice, small and thin, and put that on a splinter secured with Band-Aid or tape to draw out the splinter. Also pour milk, sweet oil, or isopropyl alcohol in your ear if you had an earache. We would just lay there,
letting it
all
sit in for a bit.
Yeah,
that's from Autumn Wheat.
I know the alcohol will work, especially if you have the high alcohol content, because that's the same thing that's in swimmers here. In fact, yesterday, one of my daughters, oh my gosh, one of my daughters, my youngest one, she came in and she had water in her ear, and all night pretty much we were dealing with that. But we did find some swimmers here, which I think is like as long as it's like over 90%. It's effective. I mean, you put it in there and it draws that water out.
Did I ever show you what they pulled out of my ears? Did I show you?
Yeah, you showed me that.
It's gross. It's like the size of my thumbnail. And
man,
I was having trouble hearing, and my ears were itching. And I cleaned them. I put water in my ears, and I used the Q-tips and all that stuff. But I guess over the years, something decided to make its way down, and I bought a camera on Amazon.
Oh, no, I got one of those too, bro. Those are worth it.
I couldn't get it out, and it scared me. I said, "Man, did this grow into my ear canal?" So I went to Dr. Young, and they ended up charging me like $100 because they had to pull that. It took like 30 minutes. He brings in a lady though, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get it," and she's like, "How do I use this, doctor?" And she starts. I was like, "Ow!" I said, "I don't want you messing with this."
What was it? I mean, what did they use? Did they use a tool or did they use water?
No, they used a water machine that's high-powered water.
Right.
And they squeeze it, and then they have it's like little mini pliers, man.
Oh, really? Because I did have years ago. I had like a little grass seed that got stuck in my ear.
Did it start growing?
And no, it was bad though. It messed up my hearing. I could hear it in there, and I tried to get it out just like you. I'd used every home remedy there was, and nothing was working. And so I went to the doctor, and they basically did the same thing that you can do at home with one of those ear flush kits. You know, they have you lay on one side, they put that stuff in your ear, and then they lay you on the other side and they flush it out, and they did that.
It's scary when they do that.
Yeah,
That's loud.
It is loud, but it made me. I mean, I was a believer in it afterwards, and so I do that from time to time just because it made my hearing so much better just to clean my ears out.
I wanted to go back one moment whenever we were reading Autumn's thing. You didn't do it right, Jason. I wanted to call you out on this. We're at the age now when you read stuff that you can't see, you're supposed to go like this.
Yeah. Or this right here.
Yeah. You have to do it. We were talking about it. We were joking on the show the other day. I don't know what it is about the upper lip, but you got to show part of your teeth. And you have to go,
yeah, if you have teeth, right?
Yeah. All right, well, let's head over. Hey, if you're the person that does that, we love you. So
yeah, we love you.
I'm at that age to where I'm having to start doing that now. So, all right, let's head over to that phone line real quick.
Here we go.
We have a winner today.
Did they text in Heat or
Heat?
Miami Heat?
They just put Heat.
Hello?
Hey, Kay, how you doing?
See, there we go.
She already knows.
Nice try, Rob.
Hey, Kay.
See these voices? This is what I'm talking about. We got to name these characters.
We can't ever do it. Kay, congrats. Hey, we're not giving away Cafe Texan today on your day that you win. But we're giving away the next best thing, Cat Cafe. How about that, Kay?
Yes, Cat Cafe.
I wanted to do Cat Cafe because it rhymes with K, and you're K, okay?
Yeah. You definitely want to try this
Sounds
out.
great. Thank you.
So I know you're busy, but congratulations. And we get to ask you. I know, Kay, this is Kay Boning, Tomorrow's Promise. Jason gets to ask you the question today, Kay.
Yeah. What are you most thankful for about living in Huntsville?
Oh, living in Huntsville, the people are great.
Yeah. Praise God.
All right. Well, Kay, I'm glad you're feeling better, and you get $20 to Cat Cafe. Okay, Kay?
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a blessed
great day.
Bye-bye.
I know Miss Kay is very busy. So that's Kay Boning, Tomorrow's Promise. She texted in. The randomizer got her today, so she's the winner.
That's awesome.
Cat Cafe. Okay, Kay?
Wonderful.
All right. Well, fun day today. Jason, thanks for hanging out with us. I'll be going to the Astros game today with Jason Thompson and looking forward to that and their family. So it's going to be fun. I haven't been in a long time.
I haven't been either. I went by there just yesterday. We were taking my son to camp down there at the University of Houston and passed by there and looked over there and realized they changed the name of the stadium again. It's not the Minute Maid Park anymore.
What is it now?
I don't even know. It's a weird name.
Man, I may call Jay. I may not want to go now.
It makes all the difference.
The name of the stadium. Well, that's like the Cowboy Stadium. Did they finally name it AT&T Stadium?
I think so.
But and they built that stadium and there's this blank panel on the outside of it. And they were supposed to put this huge screen, and they've never put it there yet.
Really?
Have you seen that? I'm
no,
talking about?
I haven't been up there. I need to go to a game. I don't know if they may have changed it just back to Cowboy Stadium. I know that they're.
No, it's still AT&T
it
Stadium.
Still is,
yeah.
Okay.
But they designed a
screen to put on the outside, and then they realized that people may just watch the screen.
They never.
You can't charge people money for that.
This is it.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
They built this thing on purpose. With this screen that they've never, I don't think they've ever put it on there.
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
so
I imagine people. Well, they got those standing room only tickets inside.
You know what though is nice is that I miss Texas Stadium. There was something on TV. That thing looked like a palace, and when you walked in there, it was the biggest hunk of junk you'd ever see. And I'm going to say that as a Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
you'd walk in, and look up, there's rust everywhere and falling apart.
I haven't been to a game there or at the old stadium. I wish I could. I'd like to go see one of the games, but most of the time they're on Sundays.
All right, if somebody out there on a Monday night football game, you got a little extra cash. Now, probably throw in 4 of them for us.
Yeah, let's Rob and I.
No, 4. We'll get Noah to go also. Jeremiah, would they like it?
Noah and Elijah would love it.
Jeremiah wouldn't, though.
Jeremiah would. He loves basketball, though.
He's a basketball guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He loves basketball. In fact, he was hooked on the draft last night.
Watching the draft.
Watching the draft. You know you love basketball if you can watch the basketball draft.
I was thinking of that. What was that little Bow Wow? Remember that? They're playing basketball all around the world. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think the basketball dribbled up and down the court. It's like, that's the dumbest song I've ever heard. When I was a kid, I loved that song.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, hey, that'll wrap it up. Hey, we'd love to have you. Jason's continuing the Hebrews series here on Sunday. Maybe real briefly before we go, just kind of let folks know what that series has been about and what we can expect this Sunday.
Oh, it's been such a blessing. That just going through that book is there's so much theology in there, but it's essentially is talking about the supremacy of Jesus in our lives, and that's what we'll be talking about this week as well. As I mentioned, that verse that we talked about a little bit, going on to the more to developing your relationship with Christ, not staying in the elementary things, but developing your relationship with Christ. That growth process of becoming a Christian, not just knowing Christ, but growing in relationship with Him, will be what we focus on this week. That Jesus is our high priest. He mentions that in chapter 5, which will be in this Sunday. But we're excited about going through the book together, and it's a wonderful book. And if you want to learn something a little more in depth about how the Old Testament relates to the New Testament, study the book of Hebrews. And we're studying the book of Hebrews all summer.
Come and be a part. 10:45 on Sunday. Jason, we'll get you out of here by noon.
That's right.
Come be a part of it. And in fact, Sundays are so great. I'm so thankful, like you said, to be here, Jason, that I don't want to leave on Sunday. I just want to hang out. We had a great lunch last week after the VBS. The FLC was completely packed. And as I was looking, and the numbers aren't important. What's important is people coming to know the Lord and their relationship with Christ. But I will say, as I looked out upon that congregation, a lot of families were here, parents of the VBS children. That was one of the busiest Sundays we've had since Easter. I think we had like 260-something folks here, which was great.
It was great. It was a good day.
Well, that'll wrap it up, friends. Thank you. Thanks to Kay Boning. And, hey, a big thank you to Joshua Mashi, who is back from Lebanon. He's back there running the cameras for us today, so we're so glad that Joshua is back.
Yeah, you need to get him on here and interview him. Do him instead of me next week.
Maybe we'll do that. That's a great idea because he's got a lot to share, and we appreciate Josh very much. For Jason Bay, I'm Rob Hipp, reminding you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We're really not. We need each other. So please provide a word of encouragement, lend a hand of support. I promise somebody out there this morning needs you. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll also see you tomorrow morning right back here with Billy Cawthon. Terry Coleman joins the show as well, our real estate expert here on Hello Huntsville. Until then, good morning, Huntsville, and God bless. We'll see you later. See you, Jason.
All right.